these huge explosions. Boom, boom. I was like, whoa, what the hell is that, man?
So what was your reaction?
Every time I heard one of these explosions, there was this big blue flash of light.
Sounds pretty far out, David.
This sounds like science fiction. This is real. This is crazy.
Thousands of people around the world would agree.
If this was a military strike, it's as significant as Hitler bombing London.
But is this phenomenon directly affecting anyone?
A lot of people have been displaced. A lot of suffering has taken place.
Is there any scientific evidence emerging related to these bizarre occurrences?
You have seismologists definitely saying, we don't know what the heck this is. It's worldwide. It's really weird. It doesn't make any sense. And as you guys know, a 17-second pulsation.
So you're asking,
why would Q tell us this? And what is this indicating?
Let's give a warm welcome to David Wilcock on Episode 4, The Alliance Strikes Back, only on the Edge of Wonder.
So I want to give you guys a big high five also for bringing on Dr. Michael Salla. And
yeah,
virtual high five right there.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was amazing.
What was insane was how, like, Ben and I were literally speechless at how both of you guys just totally correlated almost the exact same information and almost played off one another without even planning it. I mean, there was no planning to that. It just happened, right?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. And actually, I just now thought of it, was this event that happened in New York with this power grid. Do you know, like, because we kind of get into it with Michael Salla a little bit, but I was just wondering, real quick, your take on this, if this had anything to do with what we were
the
just
crazy
talking
blue
about.
light. Break it down if you have any info.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it would be fun to speculate that there was something to that, but I would actually have to say, in all honesty, I was in Virginia Beach for Hurricane Bonnie. I had a house on 22nd Street in Virginia Beach. We had the entire picture window at the front of the house. I was just renting a room in this house at the time, 1998, I think. The entire picture window got basically wallpapered with dirt and fragments of leaves. It was so crazy. The wind was so strong, the hurricane was so intense. 22nd Street was one of the biggest trafficked streets because it's how you get in to the shore area. There was no traffic on this street. It was all blocked, and I hated the traffic noise. It was so amazing to not have any traffic noise for a while. So I go outside because I start hearing periodically these huge explosions. Boom, boom. I was like, whoa, what the hell is that, man? And every time I heard one of these explosions, there was this big blue flash of light. And what I found out is that when these little power transformers, these kind of cans that you see up at the top of a telephone pole, when they explode, there's this electrical fire, there's this electrical discharge, and as they arc out, they give off this blue light. And so it was very weird to be outside and to start looking at this. And, you know, of course the wind is blowing and you're getting stuff in your eyes, but you try to keep your eyes open and you hear this explosion over here, and then you see this big blue flash. There's an explosion over here, a big blue flash. So I do believe in that case that if there's a cascading failure of a bunch of transformers at once, that they all kind of melt down at the same time. You get a bunch of these blue flashes. So I don't think it was UFOs. I don't think there was anything unusual about that. Sorry to burst your conspiracy bubble.
No, dude, we don't care whether it's a UFO or not. We just kind of want to dig down and find out what's going on, right?
Well, and also it's kind of interesting that you're just saying it is what they're saying it is, you know, because it's like that way. It just makes it sound more real, you know. I guess relating to just you as a person, you know, I guess if it's always like, oh, it's always a UFO, it's always this, it's always that, you know, then...
Although there were videos taken either before or after the event of strange, unexplainable lights in the New York sky, which is one of the reasons why people were trying to push for that.
I guess that is one of the cases that happened.
When I surveyed the data, it really did look to me like it was a cascading, rippling, multiple transformer meltdown. So you have one blowing, and then it's blue, and then there's another one blowing a few seconds later, another one blowing, and and they're all kind of flickering at different rates, and it gets brighter and it gets dimmer, and it's all just this big, big meltdown of transformers. That is really what I think it is, and nothing else. So, sorry.
No, don't be
great.
sorry.
So I want to get to this new information because I think this is really amazing stuff. Now, so on September 8th, 2018, I wrote this article on divinecosmos.com. I recommend everybody go there, and apparently they are, because it's got 2,178,546 views right now. Unbelievable. 682 comments. Yeah. And honestly, this stuff started to happen after I did these videos with you guys and with Third Phase of the Moon. So there's a lot of people out there paying attention to this, and I really am grateful that everybody's picked up on my articles and is starting to read them. It's amazing the number of hits that have come in now. But anyway, this said, the title is Stunning New Briefings, Spy Satellites Down, Deep State Arrests Finally Imminent. So you go to my website, divinecosmos.com, you click on that link under David's blog. If you can't find it, just click on David's blog first, it'll be there. Or it's going to be on the sidebar if you read my latest articles. In there, we're talking about these weird tweets that were coming. I'll call them tweets for now. The weird posts from Q at like the end of August, beginning of September, where they list off a whole bunch of satellites, right? And they got like Corona, and they got Snow White, and they say Corona this and that now offline. Snow White this and that now offline, okay? And we were trying to figure out, what are these satellites about, and why would Q tell us this, and what is this indicating? And it appeared that it was a shadow communications network for the deep state that they were using to be able to talk to themselves, that they were using for mass surveillance, and I do believe all those things are true. However, that blinding of those satellites apparently also had other geopolitical significance, in that some of these satellites and other satellites that were apprehended thereafter were the critical components in the deep state's ability to control the weather, to create droughts, to create volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, to create tsunamis, to create hurricanes, to steer the path of a hurricane, to create tornadoes. This sounds like science fiction. But what you need to understand is that weather is simply the result of high pressure and low pressure. So when you have a high pressure zone, it then moves to where a low pressure zone is at. So if you can zap a microwave beam into a particular part of the atmosphere and heat it up, it's just like how you don't want to put something metal in your microwave oven, right? Because it's going to start smoking and sparking, and then it's going to catch on fire. It's very, very dangerous. You can't put anything alive, obviously, in a microwave oven. It will heat from the inside, it will explode. It's horrible. Imagine what happens if you take a hugely powerful microwave beam and beam it into the atmosphere in a particular area, and you triangulate it to be like a certain altitude, let's say. Once you've done that, once you've microwaved that area, you get a high pressure zone, which means that now it's going to want to move to where the low pressure zone is. So you can use satellites to create high pressure zones, to steer weather patterns, to create weather. And this appears to be the source of this weird drought in California, and there are other examples of it around the world. There's other cities that have been greatly crippled, particularly South Africa, like Johannesburg, where it's been so scary, they're literally counting down to day zero, where people will have to get water from rationed spigots that you have to stand in line to go get your bucket filled. And this is in a major civilized Western society where they will cut off the water to your house. You turn on the sink, nothing happens. You flush the toilet, nothing happens. You can't take a shower, you can't wash your clothes, and even if you want to drink water, you have to go out to one of these places where there's an authorized faucet and fill up your bucket. This is real, this is crazy. And thankfully, because of various conservation methods, they've been able to hold it off. But I have lived most of my time in California. I'm back in California again, for the winter at least. And so in this world of living on the West Coast, you can't imagine how horrible it is with these droughts and with how much they've raised the price of water. They have these warnings blaring in your face about you can't use your water. They're even trying to pass laws now where you can't wash your clothes and take a shower on the same day. There's all these things about watering your lawn. They don't want you to water your lawn. Everybody's like tearing their grass out and putting in natural succulents and pebbles and stuff like this. So the scope of this California drought and how bad it is, it's not just about the fact that water has gotten expensive, that water is starting to be rationed, that they're worried about all this. It's the wildfires, as we talked about before.
Do you wonder?
So it appears that perhaps the last big move, the last big military strike that the deep state was able to conduct before they really lost the ability to do this kind of stuff, a weaponized natural disaster, was the California wildfires. In our video we talked about before. We don't need to go through all that again, but what I didn't say to you guys last time is that that wildfire started, the Woolsey fire started 3 days after I moved back to Los Angeles for the winter in Topanga, okay? I watched that smoke, I watched that fire, and when we ended up on a mandatory evacuation, I said, oh, I've been through this before. I've done like 5 of these. It's no big deal. We'll be home in a day or 2. It was 8 days that we couldn't go home. The fire was so massive. If this was a military strike, it's as significant as Hitler bombing London. There are massive parts of Malibu that are just completely destroyed. Most of the houses completely destroyed. And I've spoken to some people involved in real estate. Other people have tried to stick it out, and if their house survived, they don't want to sell, they want to stay there. It takes so long to rebuild after something like this that people end up selling, they end up leaving, and they end up selling at a horrible discount. Some of the other news that's come up since the last time I spoke to you guys is that people are finding out that their insurance does not cover their house. It isn't being reported on a widespread level, but people are not covered. They're not getting their house rebuilt. A lot of people have been displaced. A lot of suffering has taken place. And just bear in mind that the severity of this appears to have been intentional, as we said, but the really cool part is that, and this is where I was referencing your interview with Michael Salla, which again, 5 stars all the way on that. The Alliance apparently has now gotten control of these weather control satellites. The deep state no longer is going to have the ability to do this drought. And I'll tell you what, I didn't even want to tape today with you guys, as you remember, because it's been raining for so long in California. I had an ant infestation in my recycle bin. And so there were so many ants, I said, I just can't deal with this, man. I'm just going to put it outside. And that was like 3 days ago that I put this white plastic bucket outside, okay? That bucket has got like a foot of water in it just from the rain. A foot. There's so much water falling in California now, there's rivers running down the street. I'm walking my dog, I'm trying not to get all this drinkable water in my shoes, right? I mean, arguably drinkable if you ran it through a filtration system. I've lived here since, what, 2006, I guess. There's never been any rain like this since about 2008, maybe 2009 at the latest. This used to be the norm. You get these long, long rain showers that would go on for days, and that's most of the rain that California gets down here in the Southern California region for the whole year. It fills up the water table, it fills up the reservoirs, it eliminates any problems with drought, the ground is hydrated, everything gets irrigated, all the plants are happy, everything's happy, right? That's happening. It's an amazing, but it sucks, right? Because it's been raining for so long. You know, you gotta walk the dog twice a day unless you want floor sausages, just being honest, right? My dog doesn't want to go outside in the rain. She doesn't like it. I'm wearing a wool hat, wool jacket. I don't even want to deal with the umbrella. It's like, whatever. I just put on the wool, you know, because the wool repels water. I go out there and I'm walking my dog in this stuff. Hey everybody, this is David Wilcock, and this is Los Angeles, Southern California, on February 21st, where this time last year we were getting 88-degree heat spikes. We were having to run the air conditioning, and the Alliance has told us that they have gotten control of the weather-modifying satellites that the cabal was using to create this drought that lasted for 7 or 8 years in California. And I was saying a couple years ago at Conscious Life Expo, in a thing that went viral on the internet, you will know when the deep state has been defeated because it's raining in California. And this level of rain is not an accident. It is a validation of the intel that we got, and some of the intel that Michael Salla was talking about regarding the Alliance getting control of the weather satellites. So that is so awesome that I just, even though it really sucks to have to deal with a whole week of nonstop rain, I'm so grateful for the rain now in a way that I never would have been before, because it is like the drought killer. But I want to do this one other thing with you guys to reiterate what Dr. Michael Salla said, because you know, I have a huge audience and they might be watching my videos with you guys and not realize that you guys are doing a lot of other interviews that they should be checking out as well. Because some people just, they type in my name and they don't care what channel it is. So, and I said this on Jimmy Church, I want to say this with you guys too. Please do not support pirate channels. Please don't just type in my name and any old channel that's got a David Wilcock video that you just start watching it, because we have an enormous problem with thievery. There's channels that are just taking my stuff, re-uploading it. They do this all the time. The only work I'm doing that makes it onto YouTube is either on my own channel, which is David Wilcock / Divine Cosmos Official, or it's youtube.com / David Wilcock 333. I did one big interview with Third Phase of the Moon. I've done a couple big interviews with Collective Evolution. We probably are going to get one with Secure Team 10. That's been in the works. And then radio shows with Jimmy Church, radio shows with Coast to Coast, and then you guys. And that's it. So if it's not one of those, it's a pirated video. Please let us know, report it so we can get these channels taken down, because it's not good. This is part of the Deep State's campaign. They are constantly uploading old stuff, radio shows I did 10, 11 years ago, and then titling it with a new date to confuse you so that you don't know what's new. You're frustrated because they loaded up with all these ads, okay? Up until recently, I didn't even have ads on my YouTube channel. And the only reason why I did start using ads is that that's the only way I could get content ID validation so that they will actually take down things that are stolen. I would have preferred not to have ads on my channel, but you know, I make actually a halfway decent amount of money from it, as I've discovered. You know, it's like $2,000 a month, basically. So that's great. And I'm happy to have that income now. And nobody seems to really care about the ads anymore. It's just part of watching YouTube. So you just hit skip and life goes on. So I've kind of dealt with that. You know, I'm not averse to the ads anymore because of the protection that it gave me.
Stay tuned for more from The Edge.
With all that being said, let's get back to this thing with Dr. Michael Salla, because you guys had some really amazing information. He said some things I honestly didn't know. He gave me some great research leads that I actually wish I had when we did our wildfire series. Dr. Michael Salla leaked information to you guys that came from Corey Goode and other sources that I also have access to, where he said that in the immediate aftermath of the California wildfires, we had this really strange worldwide seismic event. And it did get picked up by Drudge Report. Drudge made it the headline, I guess it was on November 30th, strange seismic event, worldwide ripples. And it's gonna take me writing an article, which I am gonna do, it's in process, I've been working on it a long time. Anybody who tries to say, oh, this has all been explained, it's just reverberations, it's just a typical earthquake, no, it's not. The original articles when this thing first happened on November 11th, You have seismologists definitely saying, we don't know what the heck this is. It's worldwide. It's really weird. It doesn't make any sense. And as you guys know, a 17-second pulsation that repeats again and again and again. All the articles at that time were talking about it. They're saying this is really weird. This never happens. It's not supposed to be worldwide, and it's never supposed to be this rhythmic and regular. Well, guess what? 17 in the letters of the alphabet, if you count A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, when you get up to 17, what letter is it, guys?
Q.
Oh! Do you think there's even a possibility that that's actually on purpose? Yes. That is the Alliance telling us, those who are paying attention, that they have gained control of the weather control satellites, the earthquake technology, the weather technology, the drought technology. And what did they do? They beamed these pulses inside the Earth. And what they didn't expect, though, was that it would create these worldwide reverberations. And another thing that I don't think Michael Salla had available when he did this originally was that this actually caused a number of the deep underground military bases, or DUMBs, right, D-U-M-B-S, a number of them got destroyed as a result of this worldwide ripple. And I don't think the Alliance wanted to do that. A lot of innocent people died from that, so I don't think they're going to screw around and do this again. That was a one-time deal. But it's amazing because we very likely are not going to see these weaponized natural disasters anymore. That was very likely the final strike that the deep state had against the people using the weather like a military tool. Now that doesn't mean that because of the accelerating earth changes that we're not going to have more earthquakes, more hurricanes, more droughts, etc. But what it does mean is that these weird, precisely timed events where they have a mass shooting and then like 1 mile away or something is where the wildfire starts and it burns down all the celebrities' houses in Malibu, like they're sacrificing their own, which is a classic trick that you hear about it in the Avengers, the latest Avengers movie where the guy has to kill his own daughter to gain the powers of the universe. Same thing in the Skinwalker legend in Native American lore, where in order to become the shape-shifting like werewolf or something that you have to kill your own child and then you get this ability somehow. So I don't even know if that's true, but the point is it's part of black magic to sacrifice your own. And I also think, and we didn't really get into this in that video that we did before, that it was a message to celebrities to shut the F up. That they know that they're about to be defeated. They know that this is all about to go public, and they do not want people opening their big effing mouth. And so they take out, as we talked about in our previous episode, Paradise, California appears to be an area for authorized human extraterrestrial immigration. If that sounds crazy, just go back and watch the video. We're not going to do all that again. But then equally important is the celebrities. And another thing I wanted to say real quick about the burning down the celebrities' houses on purpose is there's a cabal trick that goes back to the era of the pirate ships. The pirates, which is basically Templars wearing disguises, they used this piracy to interdict and seize all these gold shipments going from South America to Europe. And they got so much of that gold themselves that they became very wealthy, very powerful, which allowed them to finance their operations to infiltrate and control Europe and eventually America as well. So those pirate operations that were taking place, the origin of the term false flag, because they would raise the flag of whatever country was coming, appeared to be that country, then at the last minute they jump on their ship, they kill everybody. Let's say they did a false flag operation. Let's say that Portugal is coming and they all got uniforms from dead Portuguese soldiers and they raise a Portuguese flag. Let's say the Portuguese come, right? But in this particular case, they didn't see this coming. Oh man, the Portuguese have got lots of guns, they got lots of muskets, they got lots of cannons ready to fire. We lose, we meaning the pirates, lose this battle, okay? We lost that ship. These people are sore losers. It's part of their religion that they will burn down that ship that they had already seized rather than let it get back into the hands of the people they're fighting, even if it costs them their own lives. So if they do a false flag, if they look like Portugal, Portugal pulls up in the ship and they lose that battle, Portugal is not going to get that ship. They will burn their own ship down. They have it already set up. They got all these accelerants inside the ship that they will set on fire. It goes up in flames. Portugal doesn't get anything. They dive off the ship. They hope they can swim to safety, but they're probably going to die. They don't care. They would rather die than be exposed and be brought to trial. And so what they say, one of their expressions is that they will fight until they get the quick drop and the sudden stop, meaning they will literally keep fighting this war right up until they are hanged, which is the quick drop and the sudden stop as your head goes off to the side. So part of what I think they might have been doing with California, with the Southern California Woolsey fire, is before the Alliance can go into Hollywood, get Hollywood celebrities to talk about this stuff, they want to burn their own place down. It was the last move they could make. It is so typical with their agenda. So I just wanted to, it's a lot of stuff. I'm sorry I talked so long, but I just want to drop all this on you guys.
You know, real quick, I want to kind of go back to this Paradise Fires, because there was like so many polarized comments coming in from people that were there. Like some people were saying, yes. I mean, actually, we got a lot of comments saying like, yes, this is the weirdest fire I've ever been in. Some other people were kind of saying like, oh no, this is, you know, didn't happen this way or whatever. But the video you found actually had this woman going through Paradise, California, showing burnt trees, but the trees literally had holes in the ground where the trees were. Like they were completely like
the tree was disintegrated completely and then only the hole where all of the roots was left. Like that crazy.
Yeah.
Like you literally disintegrated the tree. There was no evidence of the tree left.
And then other people were talking about like how hot the fire has to be in order for something to happen.
The cars to melt.
The cars to melt, but also the trees to be, because that's why they said some of the trees are left, because they said that the fire needs to be very, very hot to burn a tree completely.
So what you guys are saying, I hadn't heard this before. This is all new to me. You're saying that the trees are just burned down inside the ground? Like, wow.
Or like disintegrated.
More like disintegrated. Like there's not even a tree. It's just literally a hole in the ground where the tree was.
Yeah, video and photographic evidence. Really strange.
Another thing that is really amazing that I got to give Dr. Michael Salla credit for, a lead that he had referred to on his website, exopolitics.org, regarding a leaked government document that he has been doing an extensive amount of forensic work on. Other UFO researchers have. I happen to have not come across it before until I read this after watching your video, in which it is reported from this government document, which appears to be a briefing that like the President of the United States would get, just as sort of like a, you know, kind of a lower level need to know thing, but not really at all the full scope of what's going on. I looked at the document, and from reading it, I could immediately tell that this is real. People want to try to pick apart minor little details, but they just can't really accept the truth of something like this. But the document, wow, it is describing human-looking extraterrestrials being provided with authorized immigration into the country. And they use the term paradise, not to say that they're going to live in Paradise, California, but that they see the earth like a paradise and that they want to live in paradise. So there's now a document trail as well to suggest that this was a further iteration, that paradise being a place for these people was a further iteration of a government treaty. That's very, very interesting. So that's another part of this article that I've been working on that all is going to come out on my website, hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
Make sure to join us next week for the epic finale to this exclusive series with David Wilcock. We even get to hear some of David's personal experiences. And we think it's high time to discuss The Great Awakening, only on the Edge of Wonder.
Apparently, this deep state type of stuff, what they were looking at was trying to kill America by the fact that almost all of our food is grown out here. And if there's no water and there's no rain, then there's no food. And some of the briefings I got were that they were concerned about how their countries, meaning these European elites, they had to suffer during World War II, but that America didn't take the hit. And so part of why they were using these very advanced microwave beam technologies from satellites, from ground-based stations, and other means was to try to dry out California. Look at what happened with the wildfires, which appear to be deliberately set. That's a whole other story. But now it appears that sometime shortly after the California wildfires, the Alliance regained control of the weather control satellites. This is a very sizable event. We have had so much rain in California. It is crazy. In fact, there was an article just last week saying that an atmospheric river with 5 Mississippi rivers worth of water was coming in over California in just one storm. So not only do we not have a drought anymore, but now the media immediately changes their fear porn tactics to say, oh, well, now you got to worry about this biblical flood because there's going to be so much water that it's going to overwhelm the reservoir and that all these square miles of land are going to be completely destroyed. Well, look, this is a good thing. It's a good thing that we have this water, but it is so freakishly bizarre that here we are, and this has happened. I mean, I went to take a shower. I walked the dog this morning. It was sunny. It was okay. And now we get this snow. Now, you got to understand, I've lived in California for 13 or 14 years now. This basically never happens. And we actually had news not too long ago, earlier this week, that Las Vegas had snow. So I want to be clear that the briefings are telling us this is because the climate is springing back. The cabal, the deep state, they have lost control of the weather modifying satellite technology, the HARP ground-based technology. So we went from this weird drought where it literally never rains, it's like mathematically impossible, to all we're getting now is quote-unquote crappy weather, but we'll take it because we need the water. But still, in my whole life, I've never seen something like this happen. I mean, these are sizable flakes. You can see them on my jacket here, just the chunks of snow coming down and how thick they are, and they're consistently falling. And it's been going on like this. I was in the shower when this started, so I was worried that I might not have enough time to jump out here and do this. Now, I will say there have been a couple of times in the past that we've had hail, where you get these ice pellets. That does happen occasionally, but snow, I've never seen. I cannot ever remember having a snowstorm in California. I've been here for, I think, 14 years. So this is really exciting. It's really unprecedented. And it is another proof that the climate is back under control of the Earth. And we're getting this weird artificial spring back from it. California has been messed with for so long to try to kill off our food supply that this polar vortex has moved down over the continental U.S. And so everybody's been having these weird problems. I'm sure you are aware of this. These crazy 50 degrees, 55 degrees below zero temperatures in the heartland of America. This is all part of that process. The polar vortex is slipping down. The part that would normally be over the North Pole is coming south to try to heal the climate from this very prolonged, man-made artificial drought. So as crazy and as cold and uncomfortable as it is to be out here right now, I am very happy for this. I wanted to stick a stake in the ground and make a landmark of this occasion, and we'll share this in an upcoming video. So this is another really important point here. The way that I was, because we were lucky enough to be able to rent a place that has multiple fruit trees. We have some peaches, we have plums, we have pluots, we have this persimmon tree right there. We've got some citrus, we've got some lemons, some key limes. This is an almond tree. The squirrels always get the almonds. I've never had an almond from this tree. The fruit kind of looks like it's sort of roundish, oval, and flat, and got a greenish hair on it. Anyway, what's been happening every year with these weird drought problems is that they'll crank up the heat really high. And I know this is man-made because it's so obvious with all the briefings I've had and all the knowledge that's available if you look for it. They would crank up the heat to the high 80s. You'd get this prolonged burn. I mean, I literally remember in February being in my bedroom and having to turn on the air conditioning because it was so freaking hot. Then the trees are like, oh, it's springtime, let's bloom. Then what they would always do, and I watched this year after year, and it made me cry. I had such a feeling of futility. Somewhere around, right now, actually, the end of February, you would get the one big rainstorm, and it would come down so hard that it would literally pound the blossoms off of trees. So to give you an example, I tried to plant some new stuff here before the drought started. I planted these lemons, and I also planted a couple avocado trees. The one year that my avocado tree tried to bloom, the flowers started to come out, and then we had this crazy hailstorm, and the hail literally knocked all the blossoms off. So one good hailstorm could easily knock all of these blossoms off the tree. And so this is part of how the game works, the population control agenda. They get the trees to flower, then they send in a wicked storm that knocks off the blossoms. You get a significantly reduced crop yield, and eventually there's just no water, and everybody's fighting over it. So all of this has changed, but again, the climate is very unpredictable. Here we are in a snowstorm. First time in my entire life I've seen snow in Los Angeles, and I'm just giving you an insight into the greater agenda, what's going on here.
Beware, the Edge of Wonder listener, Beard o' Doom, lest it be your doom.